Oh, let me invite everyone. It is welcome, first of all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Sacred Woman Practitioner Tatami, and we are at our Sacred Sister Circle, something we do every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, Black people time, twin mama time. You know how it is, I'm sure, when you have everyone looking for things for you to do, but we still manage to kind of come together at least once a week to connect. Welcome to all of the newest members of our Sacred Sister Circle. I want to go ahead right now and just thank everyone who has joined us. I mean, I expected a lot of people to drop out, and when I say no one really has dropped out, I'm so elated that we are just on this path. We're like, this is easy steps for us to get to our goals, for us to achieve what it is we're trying to achieve. So anyways, thank you so much. I am honored that you're letting me help you guys through this journey, this spiritual journey and process together. I think it's amazing that, we're coming together just in this time reclaiming. It was easy, in a way it was harder back then, but it's also was easy in the sense that you could reclaim yourself more privately with people if you could find them. Now it's really hard to find people. So that's kind of why I've started this. Nobody really knows the crazy uncle or aunt that worked roots anymore. That person is lost in the community or in the family, and no one really knows. No one knows. So that's kind of why I started this, was not to be that crazy aunt or uncle in the community, but more to be like one of the youth who managed to find a way to be taught by the elders through hard work, circumstance, and a lot of luck, the ancestors coming through for me. But in general, it isn't very doable to pay $800, $600 and spend weeks with Queen Afua online. Even it's still a lot. It's still a lot. So it's a lot financially, and it's a lot physically, and so not everybody's able to do it. So that's why I really want to have something where it's a fraction of that cost. Not even I mean, like the comparison of $600 to $1, you know what I mean? $600 for a 12-week course, which pretty much all of her courses are around that price, and that is not unusual. That's pretty much everyone. That's a fair price, especially when you've been in the community that long, when you're someone who can read people, just speaking to them, just hearing their name. She's a woman who's very talented and very wonderful, and the issue is that a lot of us who are interested, we can't do that. That's what the Sacred Sister Circle is for, and that's why I'm here. So hold on, my little sister, she just had a baby. Anyway, so we're gonna start today, since I was like 10 minutes late as per usual. I really do want to kind of wait for maybe one person or two of you to show up. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the blunt from before. I do definitely want us to, be able to enjoy ourselves. So I'm going to play a song, and we're going to then I'll roll it real quick so we're ready later, and then we'll get started with everything. And I've also decided that when we do our smoking the blunt after the first reading, we're going to also just drink a cup of water. I don't see why not, and it will feel real good. Because last time, remember, I got my throat all scratchy. I'm like, so anyway. All right, I'm going to play River by Ibeyi. I'm not even sure if that's how you say their name. They're really amazing twin group. They're Afro-Latina, I believe, and they sing songs that are African traditional religious inspired. They were raised, I believe, in like Santeria or maybe with Ifa. I'm not even sure. I can't even remember. Don't quote me on anything. Anyways, their parents managed to raise them in a very traditional sense, and they were able to learn from a lot of traditional people. So their sound is very traditional, but it's also very modern, which I really love. So this one's called River. I couldn't find my cigarette roller. I didn't manage to make the blunt for today, so we're gonna have me do this right now. But get a glass of water too. Get your blunt ready, get your glass of water ready. We'll do both. This is Ibei's River. Alright. It took me too long to find my roller, so we're gonna listen to one more song. This is Holy by Jamila Woods. What's cool is in this video, she had, her hair was done in these really long extensions and like pulled up to the sky. And then I clicked on the video because it like looked so appealing because of that. And then I realized later I was already following the hair artist who did that. She's the one who did all those ones with the intricate hair and like 4 girls sitting there all dressed in yellow. All of those really beautiful ones. So it's that synchronicity. We're all connected. I love it. Even when we see someone else and we feel touched, she was touched by someone else that we were touched by. That's that cool connectivity that Black women have. So I'm just making the blunt from this. I got a lot of calendula in there. I think it's the lavender. The lavender is what really gives it that kick. So yeah, when I make my blends, I usually just use this like cigarette maker because it's easy. You know, no one likes a super lopsided blend. It's already finicky enough when you do it by hand. So you just pack it in there or whatever. And today I'm going to use Elements thin rice papers. I don't use tobacco papers. I tried a stint of tobacco once a while back, and tobacco is just really not a good product. Like, I learned that the hard way, stopping after a mere like 2 or 3 months. It was a lot for me. So anyways, with this rice paper though, we're gonna also do a little tutorial or what have you, where we will where we'll talk about ritualistically smoking, you know, even how to make the ink, like a smokable ink. So it's like you're not writing on this with Sharpie and then like writing your intentions or a beautiful Adinkra symbol in poison. You know, we'll talk about, and I will make a video with us. Oh, here, let me pause or turn this down a little. Well, I'll make a video where we together make a couple different dyes and see what they look like. And, you know, we can use like paint and a paintbrush and paint it on, or like, you know, I guess a toothpick would be really difficult on this. But we'll find different ways to draw it on simply, a very simple method, and then we'll just roll it the exact same way with this. Like I said, I just use these. This is like $6 on Amazon, and the cool part about this particular one by Elements is it's like lifetime guaranteed. These guys did not play around. It's like whatever this material is that it's made out of, it's made to last. It's not supposed to rip or anything like that. Okay. Oh, we don't need to listen to that song. So anyways, basically, yeah, we will write our intentions, something small on there. I usually do joints, but blunts obviously are a little easier for smoking ritualistically, in the sense that you can write a lot more on a fat blunt paper. But blunts, like, you know, it's more difficult to get a non-tobacco option for smoking with a blunt. Just is what it is. Modern times. I hope though that in the future, I've been working on making my own papers. I'm hoping one day I'll be able to figure that out. So anyways, I put it all in there. Add that DNA. Right? That's what our ancestors do. Always add that DNA to it. And when I really kind of mess up, I just twist it a little, which is really bad with this paper. That's why I like the, what's it called? I have that clear paper I use. Anyways, we'll get started today. So let me redo the introduction. I am Sacred Woman Practitioner Tatami, and this is our Sacred Sister Circle. We meet every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, Black people time, Twin Mama time. So today our discussion, our theme is economy of words, which is a term I'm using to describe using just the right amount of words to say what you need to say, and no more, no less. not going overboard, not going under, doing exactly what needs to be done and needs to be said. Because this week we're talking about, or we're going to be in action doing the talk fast, the act of, you know, holding back our thoughts, holding back our words, listening a little more, trying to use other methods of communication just to, it's more of a practice, because obviously everyday life you don't want to be fasting from speaking, but you do in everyday life want to be concentrated on what you're saying and utilizing sacred words to your advantage and to the advantage of those around you. And so when you utilize a talk fast, you are giving yourself the opportunity to hone that skill of really watching what you're saying, watching what you're doing, and seeing how it affects you and your circumstance. So anyways, for this circle, how we usually do things, we start off with our kind of introduction and an opening ceremony. We ease into our first reading, which is, and our second reading, which are usually kind of on theme, but they're not necessarily related to Queen Afua. They're just related to the general theme of what we're thinking about. And then the latter half is with the 42 Laws and Sacred Woman, the book. I pulled out my new copy, y'all. We're going with the new copy. This is brand new for the most part. I have been reading, obviously, for the first few gateways, but I pulled out my new copy for it. We are doing this, going through, we're on Gateway 1. First one was Sacred Womb. It's just talking about connecting with our womb, taking the time to talk to her, taking the time to pamper and give to your womb. Specifically, you know, when we were outside giving ourselves the womb massage in the sunlight, that was a way of connecting just the two of us, right? It's just you guys outside, you and the sun, absorbing that beautiful sunlight. I would be outside today. However, I spent a lot of time putting this up because I'm trying to do portraits for my daughter for a class I'm taking, a college course I'm taking. So I ended up trying to do a lot of things today. So usually though, we are going to be outside feeling the sunshine, drinking it in. Why? Because it's good for your melanin, it's good for your womb, your cells, all of it. Anything you can think of. For the most part, I mean, just the sun is so healing for people of color, Black people specifically. And it's just something that I think is just so important. So, you know, when you're out there with the sun and your womb, just connecting the three of you, that is a way that you show your womb that she's sacred. And when you continuously remind yourself how sacred your space is, your body is, that power and energy is, it responds likewise. It just continues the cycle, and you're able to build and build in that beautiful way. So that was gateway 0, and so we're moving on. But of course, all of the gateways intertwine with each other. I mean, if you've noticed with some of the videos, some of the articles and things I've been posting, I use several different gateway tags. Why? Because sometimes something, it falls under both sacred words and sacred foods, or, you know, it falls under both the sacred womb and sacred food, obviously, are so heavily conjoined. And so in that way, that's how you know you can always kind of jump into this process, is because they are all so intertwined. So now we have the sacred words, and we have a lot to talk about. So let me get us going. Today I did want to do a very simple libation ceremony to show how simple it can really be. Last week, I don't know what happened. I was so flustered, or, you know, ill-prepared somehow. And then worse, I'm always like really hesitant to say and do a lot and give too much information during the free sessions, because I'm just like, y'all paid for information. As small as the payment was, you did commit. You know what I'm saying? You did decide that it was worth, you know, putting your money where your mouth was. And so for me, I'm just like, I don't really like getting too deep into the good stuff. if we're, you know, not, if the person's not really that committed. So, you know, last week we didn't do too much, but this week I did want to do a little libation ceremony. I have our sister circle face jar right here. Our she's Afro-Latina, just because I was like, you know, the diaspora is so big and so diverse, and we are all Black folks, and I wanted her to kind of reflect that. So we're going to use her for this little clay jar, face jar, for our libation ceremony, and then I'm pretty sure it's going to be this week because the sun is shining and it's looking great. So we are going to definitely do a jar spell with not this young lady, because she works with us in the circle, but I will make a jar for us to do a jar spell, like a traditional hoodoo, not like basil is for nightmares, you know what I mean. All that on Tumblr, 10 inches long. If you want to celebrate, go to the store and get these 50 herbs. Like, we're not doing that. We're doing traditional hoodoo. We're going to take our jar. Yours can be a face jar. It can be a regular, you know, a regular jar, and go outside, and with our reading material, however it is you feel comfortable doing divination. I'll probably just have a pendulum. But we'll go out there, and that's how, you know, when we see our ancestors, not just our ancestors, when we see people in general today even doing stuff like reading bones and curios, that's how they should have gotten most of the material there. Most of your material should not just be, so I bought a set off of Etsy from, you know, who knows. I mean, if you know a certain specific trusted individual, like let's say Elizabeth Ruth came out with a whole beautiful set and she was selling these, I would be like, you'd be, you know, remiss to not trust an elder who's so proficient in the community to give you something like that. But I mean, if you know, you're just going on Lucky Mojo, Etsy, you're not even sure who it is, you just looked up bone throwing, and you know, you got a hit, you know, there's a good chance that, you know, those turtle shells, that turtle lived a very sad and tragic life, and there's no real guarantee that this turtle shell coming to you is actually interested in helping you with readings. And you know, so that is how you would find those too. It's not just about find a beautiful flower that speaks to you out in the woods somewhere. It's also going to be about trying to find, keep our eyes open for the natural, for bones or other items such as that. For example, earlier today I found, it was like, I want to say it's a salamander. I'm gonna have to look him up. I thought it was a worm at first, and then I looked closer. He had those two little hands coming out right here. He was just laying on my front, right in front of my house. He died. I'm not sure when, but I definitely gathered him up. You know, I looked at that and I was drawn. I walked past several times and I was like, you know what, I have to come out here and get this. So that's how you naturally get those. So that's what we're going to be doing come this week sometime when the weather is shining. I'm going to take you guys out to Twin Lakes State Park, and we're going to use our reading. Maybe you use, you know, the 4 coins. That's a very traditional one. Maybe you use playing cards. I'm not sure how you personally divinate, you know, for yourself, do readings, but in this case you do readings, because if you'll remember, we are going to be talking to the spirits of the plants, what have you. I'm drawn to you. Are you going to work with me? Are you willing to help with what I have? And then that can go inside of the jar that you have decided to use. It's the same, you know, as a jar spell. It's just you're not cayenne pepper is for this, that, and the third. You should be able to go out there and get a daffodil and curse somebody. There should be, you know what I mean? That's hoodoo. So anyway, so I'm excited because we're gonna be going out there and doing that together this week. Probably live stream, just walking out there in the forest and see what we get, see how long it takes us, and wrap it up. I'm excited because I haven't done that before with anybody, and I'm not sure how exactly it will go, but I am excited about it. So today I have a simple white bowl to pour the libations into, and when we are finished I will go outside and pour it into the earth somewhere. But if you have a potted plant at home, that's also perfectly fine to use. Let me open up to where it states the ancestors for this gateway. Gateway 1, Sacred Words, I believe it is page 141. Okay. We call on the ancestors, both known and unknown, to join us in our sacred sister circle and help us on our quest for femininity and womb health. Ashe. We call on our ancestors, Zora Neale Hurston and Margaret Walker. They are both people who can help us with choosing exactly the word that needs to be said and understanding and thinking in a way that can benefit the community as a whole. Ashe. I call on the elders, well, now an ancestor, Maya Angelou, but also Toni Morrison, Camille Yarbrough, and Nikki Giovanni. We ask that their spirits join us in this circle and help us feel as though we are capable of following in their footsteps as leaders in the community through spoken word. We call on our contemporaries, Edwidge Danticat, Jessica Care-Moore, for the inspiration of people who are doing what we want to do at the younger age. Before they're an elder, before it's their responsibility, we want to feel that spirit of community, which leads us to do something for the community before it is really our duty, because it's always our duty, even if we live in a society which says it is not. Ashe. We call upon the 4 elements and the 4 directions. We call upon our ancestors from our personal families. I'll name mine right now. My mother-in-law, Miss Petrina, and my past grandmother, Miss Anne. I ask that you help us also in this sister circle and in our overall guidance through this journey. Ashe. I definitely paused for a second when I was reading the ancestors because, believe it or not, I totally was reading yesterday and bibliomancing yesterday and read a poem by Margaret Walker, which I just posted on my Instagram. So I didn't even realize, there you go, is all this synchronicity. Let's see, we have... 145. I want us to go ahead and read the Sacred Woman Spirit Prayer on page 145. It's a pretty common one. I think it's written several times in the book, but here we go. Sacred women in the making, sacred woman reawaken. Sacred spirit, hold me near. Protect me from all harm and fear beneath the stones of life. Direct my steps in the right way as I journey through this vision. Sacred spirit, surround me in your most absolute perfect light. Anoint me in your sacred purity, peace, and divine insight. Bless me, truly bless me, as I share this sacred life. Teach me, sacred spirit, to be in tune with the universe. Teach me how to heal with the inner and outer elements of air, fire, water, and earth. Ashe. We're going to do our fire breaths now. Remember, fire breathing, we need to sit and keep your body, your posture upright. Your shoulders are back. Your spine is full. Your breathing can go on uninhibited. We'll start with 4 deep breaths, all the way in, all the way out. Then we'll breathe in and out rapidly. Remember, when you breathe in, your stomach goes out. When you breathe out, you exhale, your stomach goes back in. And we do this 100 times. If you feel lightheaded, stop and just breathe deeply or slowly. Do not take this any further than you're capable initially. This is through our nose. And so we are preparing by breathing in 4 times, and then we expand the breath down into the abdomen, back up into the chest, and exhale fully out as the abdomen contracts in and the lungs release completely. Okay, let me see. We'll listen to a little music because I know that people breathe at different rates. So let's breathe slowly first. I have my hands on my womb area just to bring consciousness to this area. And it does take time and effort and practice. That's Corinne Bailey Ray. I just enjoy her stuff. So we're going to get into our readings. Our first reading today is a poem to complement other poems by Don L. Lee. Change. Life, if you were a match, I would light you into something beautiful. Change for the better into a real together thing. Change from a make-believe, nothing on cornmeal and water. Change from the last drop to the first. Maxwell did. Change was a programmer for IBM, thought him was a brown computer. Change. Colored is something written on southern outhouses. Change. Greyhound did. I mean, they got restrooms on buses. Change, nigga. Saw a nigga hippie, him wanted to be different. Changed. Saw a nigga liberal, him wanted to be different. Changed. Saw a nigga conservative, him wanted to be different. Changed. Niggas, don't you know that niggas are different? Change. A double change. Nigga wanted a 00 in front of his name, a license to kill. Nigga's a license to be killed. Change. A Negro. Something pigs eat. Change. I say change into a real black righteous aim. Like, I don't play saxophone, but that doesn't mean I don't dig train. Change. Hear you coming, but your steps are too loud. Change. Even a lamppost changes, nigga. Change. Stop being an instant yes machine. Change. Niggas don't charge. They don't change, they just grow. That's a change. Bigger and better niggas. Change into a necessary black self. Change. Like a gas meter gets higher. Change. Like a blues song talks about a righteous tomorrow. Change. Like a tax bill getting higher. Change. Like a good sister getting better. Change. Like knowing wood would burn. Change. Know the real enemy. Change, nigga. Standing on the corner, thought him was cool. Him still standing there. It's winter time. Him cool. Change. Know the real enemy. Change. Him wanted to be a TV star. Him is. 10 o'clock news. Wanted. Nigga stole some lemon and lime popsicles. Thought they were diamonds. Change, nigga. Change. Know the real enemy. Change. Is you or is you ain't? Change. Now change for the better. Change. Read a change. Live a change. Read a black poem. Change. Be the real people. Change. Black poems will change. Know the real enemy. Change. Know the real enemy. Change. Your enemy. Change. Know the real. Change. Know the real enemy. Change. Know the real enemy. The real enemy. Change. You are the enemies. Change your change. Change your enemies. Change your enemy. Know the real enemy. The world's enemy. Know them. Know the real enemy. Change your enemy. Change your change. Change your change. Change your enemy. Change your change. Change your mind, nigga. Change is good. It's for our wellness. It's a mantra that should be within all of us. Even the most seemingly learned and best of everyone still needs to have within them the capacity for growth, the capacity for change. When we decide that we're going to commit to throwing off the shackles of whatever religion and spirituality everyone around us is practicing and go forth, even when we don't know anyone personally in our own lives who are living life this way, that's revolutionary change. That's recognizing the real enemy and changing. And really, we have to ask ourselves, are we letting fear or social norms hold us back? That's something we have to change. When we're scared that somebody from our family might disown us, somebody from our world might think less of us because we pray to someone different than them, when we're scared that we may not get a job, when we're scared our ancestors can't stand up to Jesus, when we're scared of what other people might think of the way we portray ourselves with how we dress, or some religious symbol that we choose to show openly, those things need to change. Are we letting fear of what others think, or even what they might think, police us? Remember, last week I talked about, if somebody is telling you what you're saying is wrong, are you somebody who is letting those words come over you like a net, knock you the fuck over? It's not even like they just gave you information. You let that information that they gave you knock you flat on your back under a net. They've captured you with what they've said. They've made it so that you feel like, what you're doing isn't correct. For example, the other day or a couple weeks ago, a lot of people were passing around, if somebody calls hoodoo folk magic, they's a fraud, and that's not realistic or whatever. But then the other day, I popped open Mules and Men by Zora Neale Hurston, someone we will all not argue is initiated into several African traditional religions and is an authority, an elder, an ancestor, on an authority figure in this matter, especially in Black communal matters, hoodoo. She refers to it right there on one of the pages, folk magic. It's like, how many people read that? Read somebody ripping them a new one on Facebook, even though they didn't know no better. Read that and went, oh, jeez, like I just messed it all up. It's because I don't have this. It's because I don't have that. But in reality, you used a word, like I said last week, that it means something blanket. English, people nitpicking English. English is our oppressor's language. We will use this language the best we can. That is sacred word. It is using this language. That is the only one we have to the best of our abilities. And sometimes that does mean using words that other people may not agree with. Pagan, folk magic, what have you. The question is are you allowing that fear of what they think to police you? Because you can be wrong sometimes. That's the thing that's really funny about people being like, they's a fraud, don't trust them with anything. Because the truth is that people can be wrong about certain things, People can be wrong about, even those people who are the best trained, right? They're wrong if they say you're not officially doing hoodoo or root work if you were not raised in the bayou, waist deep in the mud with great aunt whoever. They're wrong if they say that. They're wrong if they say you have to be initiated to practice. They're wrong, even if they are somebody who is an authority figure. And so the question is, are you going to allow everybody to police you even if they are an authority figure? Because the person who said it, I don't think was an elder. I don't think they're that old. But the thing is that they do have authority. You know what I mean? And so the issue is, are you letting people police you change? Are you allowing addiction to rule your life? Let's change that. Let's look that in the eye. Let's say, you know what? There are some things in my life that I control. There are some things in my life that I do not control. For example, marijuana, that's something I feel like I can control. Herbs, you know what I mean? I can smoke it. I cannot smoke it. Not much changes either way. When I did tobacco for a little while, somebody one time mixed a little into my tree. I hit it, and it was kind of downhill from there, because it's a very different high, tobacco and marijuana. And I really learned the meaning of addiction with tobacco, with only smoking it 3-4 months and then trying to leave it behind. Like, I prayed. I had to pray about that and talk to the ancestors. And usually when you talk to them about addiction, for me, it will start to make me physically ill to do that thing. And sometimes that works for me and sometimes it doesn't. But with that, what I'm going to say with this, for tobacco, I felt physically ill and I did not go back, thank goodness. That was a couple years ago. But alcohol, that's a different story, right? We're all used to puking with alcohol. That's normal. It's not something people think big of. So it's like, if you are drinking and it's making you physically ill, it's not as huge of a deal to you societally wise as it would be if, you smoke a cigarette and it made you puke. You know what I mean? You don't correlate those two together. But with alcohol, you're willing to look over even more symptoms than you even realized before, right? You're looking at, you're down with you're down to puke, you're down to have a terrible headache, you're down to get bloated, water retention. We'll do it all for alcohol. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of those ones that we make excuses for. Now there are some people who can just do that one beer or what have you. The question is not only are you somebody who can handle that one beer, but can your womb health handle that one beer? Because it's without one beer a week, that's still a lot. They say when you take one shot every day, or if you took all 7 shots on Friday night, it's the same. There's no physical difference long term if you take those 1 shots every night for just to relax, or if you're like, I save it all for Friday and then I let loose. That person, those people are the same. In the end, you still drink 7 shots that week in the end, and those things do affect your womb. And so it's like I've said before, it's okay, can your womb health handle your meat intake? You're the one who wants to get pregnant, you're the one who wants to lose the fibroids, you're the one who wants to be able to have all this energy and up your power level for your business, for your spirituality. That's you. But you're saying, but I should still eat all the fried chicken, all the even potatoes and cheese, all those things. I should be able to eat all those that I want, even though I'm asking for this change to occur. That's why I say always, it's up to you. It's up to you intuitively to know how to read yourself. And maybe you don't know right off the top, so you do have to physically hold a pendulum and think to yourself about your circulation. What is my energy reading for my circulation? What is my energy reading for my womb, my mind, my heart, my spirit, what have you? How am I treating my lungs? I'm asking my left ovary, my right ovary. Take your pendulum and do that reading, because that's how you know. You know what I mean? That's how you're keeping it up. That's how you are utilizing what you have. And further, those readings will help you when you're doing your addiction work and your other overcoming work, because you'll be able to, when you're taking notes, hopefully in your womb journal, or your if you don't have a specifically womb journal, I do hope you have a book of power. I do hope that you are somebody who is writing down whatever readings you have, be they tarot, be they bibliomancy, be they anything, you know what I mean? Reading bones, you should. And then like my thing with that is if you're really, really serious, another level you can take that to is I have a Polaroid camera. All those Polaroid cameras, modern Polaroid cameras, when you take the picture and it comes out, it's a sticker. It's got a back, that's how they're sold now. So I don't know if they've always been sold that way, obviously. I didn't get one until I was 18, 19, because they weren't popular back then. They've made a resurgence. Anyways, you take one of those, take a picture of your bone reading, your tarot reading, what have you, take meticulous note. What did the pendulum say when you were asking about your circulation, about the left lung, about the right lung? Does that kind of fit in with what you've been noticing about yourself? What did it say about your colon? Oh, does that fit in with what you've been eating, how you've been treating it? Some people do digest meat a little better than others. Some people do have a higher tolerance for the lactose and for all those things. But at the end of the day, when you're eating dairy and stuff, you can digest it quickly, but the mucus is being dispersed throughout your body. That's what you're feeding it. That's what you're giving nutrients to. So we're saying change our addictions. Are you looking at other spiritual journey and wanting that, right? That's what I was saying with are you somebody who's like, oh, I don't get it. Like, I feel like I do a lot of the things right. And it feels like I've been stuck at 200 followers for now 4 or 5 weeks. What's going on? You need to change. There's something that you should do that could be changed for the better, specifically for this. And it could seem unrelated. You could be like, how am I always capping at this? Maybe you should just go clean your house. Maybe you should clean, up your diet. Maybe you should go physically do movement. Simple suggestions that we've gone over before. Are you doing the things that directly hurt you and your body and spirit? Are you doing things that go directly against what you say you're trying to do in the first place. Change. It's not like anyone's really trying to tell you you have to stay this stagnant person, and if they are, that maybe needs to change too. And maybe it needs to change that you're listening, or maybe it needs to change that you're weighing so heavily the opinion of somebody who's not even really trying to help you grow in any capacity. That needs to change. So anyways, that was a poem to complement other poems by Don L. Lee. And I hope you enjoyed it. And you will look it up, maybe look him up. That was from my book, Afro-American Poetry. This is also where I read the poem from, or the excerpt from Margaret Walker. I think it was For Our People. Anyways, we have our second reading is from the Dust to Onyx Guidebook. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite sacred texts, just off principle. She did such a good job. Anyways, I opened up to the Two of Blades. The Two of Blades depicts a individual in full ceremonial gear under a crescent moon. They have a mask and the dual horns, and of course the dual blades. So I'll just read this one to you and then give my thoughts. Mental balance, neutrality, compromise, truce, objectivity. As we move through the new energy of the Ace of Blades, we come out of the tunnel of light into the night. It is in this place that we now weigh the opposing forces in our lives. We gain our footing again, and to do so, we must dance with the spirit within. It is during this time of quietness and stillness we are most receptive to the ideas and insights that come forth. Under the wand and crescent, a shaman stands. The sword in each hand stays poised and ready at the shaman's side, for the moment action must be taken. For now, it is simply a time to receive. The shaman takes on a higher persona that eases communication with those in other dimensions. Instead of being blinded, they dress in a way that facilitates higher connection. Just as we think of objectivity as mentally removing our emotions, the same can be said of the spiritual, where the individual ego is put to the side so downloads from the higher realm are without interference. The Two of Blades comes up as a challenge for us to really think about the decisions we are making. We may be stuck, running in a circle in our minds that is inhibiting us from making a choice and sticking to it. It is fine to take time and consider as many facts as possible, but we must strike a balance, lest we find ourselves running on the mental hamster wheel going nowhere. It's also important during this time to keep our emotions in check. This is the quiet before the storm, and the best time to put ourselves in a state of equilibrium before the onset of new challenges. So we utilize the talk fast to go within. We are listening to our inner thoughts, and we're keeping them sacred within us to help us learn. I really thought it stood out how they said, the shaman takes on a higher persona that eases communication with those in other dimensions. Instead of being blinded, they dress in a way that facilitates higher connection. So when we speak sacred words, it's like we're dressing our mouths in ceremonial garbs that allow us to have this higher level of communication, to have this higher level of facilitation with the higher connections that we're trying to talk to, be that ancestors, a goddess, spirits around you, within things around you. That is definitely something that you can do. It is a form of ceremony. The words that you say, it is a form of ceremony. It's the way of putting the ball gown on your own lips. You're showing yourself at the best that it can possibly be. when I talked about economy of words, right, I said it's that choice of utilizing just the right amount, no more, no less, not going overboard. And that's kind of what ceremonial garb is as well. It's doing the most to a point, and that point is where you're capable of connecting with that higher spirituality, that higher level of spirituality that you're trying to achieve. It also spoke about the balance of needing to stay in your center. We talk about think of objectivity as mentally removing the emotions, and the same can be said of the spiritual, where the individual ego is put to the side so that the downloads are without interference, right? That is your balance. That is you staying in your center. Do you always need to react to things, talk about things, give your full opinion, a dissertation on what you believe in that moment? Here, when you're just talking, sometimes we get in the habit of just wanting to be heard, just wanting other people to listen to us. So when we do our talk fast this week, it is getting ourselves in the habit, is practicing the habit of being silent, of not needing to be heard, of not needing to center ourselves or make our opinion known to other people, just because there are times when obviously we will need to talk to people where it's very important. But even this week, when we're doing our talk fast, that includes social media, that includes all the little silly gossip, minor crimes and things that are just being shared just to give our opinions on them. Focusing on the most important aspects, big events that are personal to us, maybe it would need to be talked about. Business obviously would need to still be done, but just a lot of the more frivolous activity definitely is something that you can practice, not not needing to tell people at all times. So we are going to do a song, and we also are going to do we're going to do the song, we're going to do the blunt, and we're going to do the cord cutting ceremony. So hold on, let's see. So the song that I chose is an Abra song. This is the song that we were supposed to listen to this whole time. Forget all those other songs from the beginning when I was trying to roll this very pathetic quick spliff so that we could start our little journey here together. But this is the song that I really wanted to show, and it's called You Go, I Go. And it just the words of it remind me of, I want to say it's the book of Ruth. I read the Bible as a teenager, and I haven't picked it up since. I haven't picked it up in a very long time, probably since I was 18. But I did read it back then. Anyways, you know how she says, both their husbands die, and she says, you go to one of her daughter's husbands, or one of the husband's wives, one of her son's wives. She asks her to go. That woman says okay. She takes her shit. She goes back home. The other one is like, no, like, where you go, I'll go, and your religion is my religion. Your home is my home, basically. And I always loved that. I always loved that story as a little girl. So when I heard this song, I was definitely felt that connectivity. To the conclusion that we weren't meant to This one is struggling. Aw, I really messed this one up, you guys. I'm gonna try again. Okay. Let's try again. There we go. Oh, don't forget to get some water too while you're smoking. I'll put some smoke blends up on the Patreon account so that you guys can make some of your own too, because I definitely, while we're doing something like this, I definitely recommend smoking with lavender as well, just because it is, I don't know, it really, like, the smoking with the other herbs really just changes the high and makes it so that it's, it just feels, like, really different. Because we're not just smoking right now to be high, we're also trying to just relax, focus a little more in tune on our spirituality. We're about to do our cord cutting, so just the smoking, we connect to our ancestors, we connect to the ritual and the tradition, and we also relax ourselves and our minds. Oh, I got some smoke in my eye. Okay. Oh, let me check my makeup. You can never go wrong drinking more water. Okay, we're going to now do our cord cutting ceremony, or it's like more of a ritual, and you should do this. I mean, if you're somebody who has to interact with a lot of people, or you get super attached, or you know you're really an empath, this is something that you should do frequently. You know what I mean? Because good or bad, happy, you love them, you hate them, whatever, you're constantly connecting to other people throughout your life, throughout just your regular interactions with others. When you choose to go outside, when you choose to go online, you're interacting with these people, and when you interact with them, you connect to them on some level. And this is important for you to release yourself from, because these connections do drain you. And they do pass on things to you that you may not want to have, that may not be conducive to you, that may be a burden to you. And when you decide you're going to, cord cut, say, your husband, your lover, your best friend, whatever, that is not to say that you're saying, like, oh, I'm emotionally cutting out forever, because you're not. Obviously, the next time you talk with that person or you guys connect, you'll connect all over again, you know what I mean? But it is important, even with those healthy or happy relationships, to give yourself a break, to sever what has already been building up all this time, just so that you can refocus and rebalance yourself back to, you know, feeding yourself energy wise and spiritual wise. You're not just giving off to everybody, or even taking in things which you may not even want to take in. You know, we there are a lot of people that we may love who we do not in any way want to take on their energy. And so that's very important, and kind of the main reason why you would be cutting the cord from your womb. So to cut the cord from your womb, put yourself in a comfortable position. This could be sitting up, this could be laying down, on a bed even. You're going to put your hands on your womb, onto your womb space, and we're going to breathe in and out 4 times deeply, and then we are going to connect with our womb, and then start to release, start to cut the cords of each person who is living, you know, not living, but connected to our wombs. Let me put on some music actually before we start. Center yourself, root your body down into the ground, and relax fully into your body. Relax your eyes, your eyebrows, your cheeks, your ears, all of the tension in your head. Relax your lips and your neck. Let your shoulders be pulled up and back, but still rested. There's no tension there. They are rested in a good posture position. Your spine is straight. Your stomach is relaxed. Your womb is relaxed. You're not holding tension. This is not a moment to look skinnier, pull our stomach in and make it tense. This is just a moment of acceptance of where we are right now. Letting the womb relax, letting it feel free and uninhibited by outside needs and wants. Allowing ourselves to really truly breathe in. Put your hands on your womb space and hold it with gentle compassion. Imagine within your womb there's glowing warmth. You can see the color yellow for gateway 1, sacred words. Your womb is ready for kind words to be spoken and ready to give forth her own eternal wisdom. Reach out with your spirit, touch your womb, hold her. And now in your mind, notice how she has strands of energy that reach out and they connect all over. These strands of energy connect to your coworkers, to your spouse, to your children, to the people you interacted with at the grocery store, to the posts that you chose to respond to on social media, to the stranger you chose to send a friend request to. And maybe it's been so long since you've cut these strands that there seems to be millions of them connecting even to people you haven't seen or spoken to in months, in years. You can see that all of those strands are reaching out to others and flowing back within to you. There's beauty and connection with your community, with your family, and with those around you in the world. It is not our job to maintain these connections at all times. It's not our job to give our energy to every person who might want it. It is our job to use our intuition to discern who deserves our energy and who we want to use our energy on, where we want to put it, what we want to say with it and accomplish with it. It is our choice. So take your spiritual scissors and let's clip the first cord. Let's clip a cord of somebody who has been upsetting us or kind of in the back of our mind. Maybe somebody who is actively or even inactively working against us. We cut our womb cord from this person and we release them. Let's watch that tendril float away. It is returning to its owner. It is not our problem anymore. Next, we will cut the strands of people who are not friends, they're not family, they're acquaintances, but they still take too much from us, maybe in a bad way. Maybe they take our energy. They are somebody who annoys us because they are not as proficient as we would like, or are not, or maybe they are too proficient. Maybe their attitude is what we cannot stand. Every day we come into work and see them, or we hear a meeting is coming up with this person and we dread it. We cut that person from the womb, at least for now, and we let them go. We cut all of those people. Maybe for you it is only one tendril. Maybe there's a whole family or group. We cut those tendrils and we let them go away. We cut those cords. We let them go. Our womb feels a little lighter. She feels a little more free. The womb is within us, floating peacefully within our body. When she is not only freed from the colon weighing down on her, but also the spiritual responsibilities which pull at her and stretch her in all directions at once. She feels capable of moving and shimmying a little bit more now that she is not connected with some of the more toxic cords that were connected before. But there are other cords that need to be cut. We next move on to friends. Friends who we love, or even acquaintances who we love, people on Facebook. Some of these people perhaps take a little too much energy, financially, spiritually. And though we love to help them, it is okay to, in this moment, cut them and let them go. Let their problems go. Let what they like to post about go. Let their opinions go, even if we hold them in the highest of esteem, even if we are one of 30,000, 40,000, 60,000 fans that they have. We let it go. We let it go. Because their lives do not dictate ours. We do not need to have these connections. They are helpful, they are inspiring, but it is fine to let our womb be itself without this outside interference, to let it grow and manifest its own thoughts and own influences. We cut them. We cut our children, our aunts, our close cousins, the people who are always asking for advice and we answer because we love them. The people who are always needing something, a spouse, somebody who we love, but we do deserve to have our own time, and it is not selfish to cut these spinal cords and allow our womb to bounce freely in her own golden light. We can see our womb is shining bright gold, shining bright with that yellow color of the sacred words. We did not cut them off maliciously. We cut them off with wellness and happiness and love in our words, in our intentions. Now that your womb is floating freely within, not connected to anyone else, not connected to any other needs, you can breathe deeply again, our 4 deep breaths. And now truly feel our connection with just our womb alone. We'll take a few moments to ask her how she is, to check in with how she is feeling, maybe even what her needs are as we move into this week of sacred words, of word fasting, of not speaking too much. We breathe in those possibilities into our golden womb center, and we relax fully with our womb as one. Okay, our second portion is upon us. This is where we go over Sacred Woman, the book, and also we begin to apply some of this sacred word stuff and get really into what it means and how we can use it. 42 laws, our law for today is I will not cause pain. I will not cause pain. When we connect that thought to sacred words, we think about not only do I cause pain with what I choose to say, am I going out and deliberately trying to upset people, deliberately trolling people, deliberately saying the wrong thing or misleading people with what the information that I'm giving? Am I causing pain with what I say, but also am I causing pain with what I choose not to say? Do I choose to withhold information from those who do not deserve to have that information withheld from them? Am I choosing to not willingly give advice or information that could help somebody simply because I am wielding my power, that this power I have of this knowledge, in an inappropriate way? Am I causing pain with what I think to myself? This is also your sacred words. Am I causing pain with how I address myself in my mind? Do I address myself as someone sacred, as a goddess, as someone who deserves respect? Or do I approach myself with anger, with disappointment, with annoyance, with the belief that nothing will ever happen the way that I want it to, that I'm inherently incapable of growing, of growth, of reaching new heights. I've tried so many times, it's never worked before. Continually using those words in our mind, telling ourselves that what we're doing is not worth the time, or that what we're doing is not worth it because we're us. Are those words causing you pain? Because that, having those words in your mind, saying all those negative things, that throws off your balance, right? Maat, that's about balance. The feather, you're weighing your heart against that feather. You're weighing your thoughts, your words against that feather. Are your words light enough to measure up? Do you have that balance, that duality, so that you're not in this constant state of putting yourself down, even on a sacred path, even when you've done well all this time, and then, oh, I didn't read the instructions, and I've been meaning to be vegetarian, but there was like bacon bits in this thing that I ordered. Like, you know, you don't need to be so angry with yourself. You don't need to throw this whole fit, put yourself down. You made this mistake. Starting now, we'll continue. You know, it's these words that will help you. So we're going to get right into our book, starting with page 143. We have information about what you can be putting on your altar. Right, you should already have your womb altar set up, but it should be fluid. It should be changing as your gateways progress, your thought process progresses, what you need progresses. This will change. So she says you can have on the walls pictures of spiritual guardian, pictures of ancestors, your sacred self, elders, or and contemporaries. So up there at the very top, oh, you can't see it. Let's see if I can lift up. You can see her briefly. She is, you know, a Kemetic woman of African descent, dressed in all whites. And I really loved that picture. I got it from my mother-in-law's house a long time ago, and I felt it really embodied, you know, where I'm going with my sacred life, where you know, those who came before me. It's a very ancient feel. And so for me, I've been using that picture now since I first got the book. This is not since I first, but you know, pretty much 2 years, a while, 2.5, maybe even 3, sorry. But anyway, she also says you can have a bowl of water for baptismal purposes. For this, you know, some people do prefer to use the water and anoint onto the top of their head. You can also have your fresh flowers or a flowering plant for the earth, a yellow candle. Yellow is our color for this gateway. An anointing oil, right? We anoint the womb of our mind, the womb of our heart, and the womb of our sacred seat. The feather is for air. The candle is for fire. An ankh for eternal life, or another sacred symbol. This would represent the spirit. The sacred stone of this gateway is aquamarine, and she says there should be food offerings for your ancestors, which you release after 24 hours. With that, you can either take it outside and bury it, or throw it away. It depends on how you personally feel, how your ancestors talk to you. Also, placing the rolled up papyrus with a ribbon and pen on your altar. This is for a sacred word. So with this, if you have your sacred journal, that will be just fine. You're really focusing in on our sacred words. When we're not speaking out loud, it is the one thing you can do is journal and diary and do readings, do divinations. You're trying to influence your own thoughts, right? What we're trying to do here is not necessarily, because if we just do this and then you go out and you just start copying what somebody else has been saying this whole time, in essence, all that's happening there is you're not getting that from you. You're not that, the source there was not yourself. So if the source there is not yourself, you're not going to be able to maintain that. You're going to have to get somebody else to constantly be telling you these things. When you choose to do the talk fast yourself, you are taking this time to get those thoughts yourself. Get that habit of thinking this stuff up yourself, thinking critically through spiritual situations and sessions yourself. And so that's why it is still, when we do the talk fast, that does not mean you shouldn't be journaling. So the sacred words rules the throat center. I want to take us to page... Oh, first, I also did want to talk about page 152. For our diet, some options for you. Because you're eating, we're still transitioning, so you can still be eating dairy like cheese and milk, but hopefully your milk, you just switch to almond milk. It's not that difficult. Cheese is the only dairy that you should be eating. We have, you can be in the morning, freshly press yourself some juices. Use juices in your smoothies, like juices, not like sugar juices, but juiced vegetables, juiced materials such as that. Whole wheat, dairy-free pancakes. For lunch, you can have large salads. If you're still transitioning with meat, if that's where you're still at, you can prepare a baked fish, soy chicken, or organic chicken 1 to 3 times a week. Proteins every meal. Hopefully, if you're switching from meat, you can have sprouts, beans, peas, tofu, lentils. Starches should be eaten in moderation, but when you do eat starches, it should not just be your average brown potato. Those are not the best. Millet, bulgur, brown rice, couscous, the baked potato or yam. Again, this is only 4 to 7 times a week in total out of all of your meals. Dinner, she recommends you do not eat the proteins or starches after the sun goes down. Keep it still with only the live foods, salads, fruits, vegetables, steamed vegetables, vegetable soups, that sort of thing. You should still be trying to take baths. You should still be doing that. And let's move on. We are going to read page 149. Charging your power with sacred words. Think about the affirmations you say daily for your womb. Because you can speak, I'll put some affirmations up. I think I already did put some, but I'll put some more. Okay, think about the affirmations you say daily for your womb, because you can speak yourself into wellness just the same way you can speak yourself into sickness. Always remember that. So even if you had a traumatic day, you can change the words around to make your life work for you. Take the higher road. Say, that was a very challenging day, but I am victorious because I am still standing. We choose the words we say, and we must recognize the real power that they carry. There could have been a fire in your house, but you choose to say, I still have my life. I have the lives of my children. Give praise that there's something to still give praise about. Suppose you had your womb removed. What words of power could be affirming? I still have my womb spirit. I still have my life. I still have the ability to create. Always look for the higher road. Always look for that word that will help to recharge your spirit. That's the sacred word. You choose and create your world through the words that you speak. So if you're constantly saying words like, I don't have any, I am tired, I can't make it, my needs aren't met, I don't have anybody, you carry all that energy in your aura. Words like those weigh your spirit down and wear you down. And when you are worn down, disease can enter into your energy field and attack your sacred womb. So we have to protect our sacred room, our sacred seat, by watching our minds. We have to keep our minds up on high, watch the words that we speak, and feed our body temple. And we are feeding the right words, higher thoughts, and higher foods. One way to do this is by communicating with high queens who are going in the same direction we are. We can change ourselves, but it will take time. It takes learning to change your words to reflect the spirit. It takes your continual prayers, your affirmations, and meditations. Think of a martial artist. How did they become black belts? Through discipline, through consistency, through constantly working it out and mastering themselves. If they get knocked down, they learn how to fall. And when I was studying martial arts, it took me months and months just to learn how to break the fall. That's so important, how to break a fall with grace so you don't break your arms or legs. You may drop down, but there's a positive way to drop down and a negative one. Instead of just falling down or out, you say, "Oh, I'm falling. It's time to rest." That's a message of sacred words telling you it's not time to break down and fall apart. It's a good message for our body, telling us it's just time to go and get some rest. It may take 15 minutes to talk to your spirit, another 15 to do a womb meditation or affirmation. It is golden time that will come back to you 100-fold. When we speak conscious words, we are speaking ourselves into power, into wellness, into healing. Whenever we think of our womb being whole, we are actually rebuilding it. We are healing our wombs from all the trauma we have gone through. That's why our words and thoughts are so powerful. So one of the things that really stands out from this passage is how she's talking about martial artists learn to fall. This is the thing that you can really get from that is how martial artists have to fall. The falling is inevitable, right? You're never going to become a professional dancer, singer, whatever, priestess, spiritualist, any sort of business. You're never really going to continually go through never falling once, never making a mistake, never doing anything like that. The question is not will you fall, it's how will you fall. Will you fall with grace, with understanding? Will you land on your feet, or are you going to be so in shock that it all happened and just be floundering your whole way down? Are you one of those people who tries to take everyone with you? It's just in it's one of those small messages that you can really take with you. Falling is inevitable. You need to learn how to fall, not to fall. Sacred words can sometimes seem hard or seem mean. When she's talking about rebuilding your womb, it reminds me of, when I say this, it reminds me of this young woman who recently confronted the man who had molested her at like 6 years old. And, she said, there's a time and a place for everything. This time is now. And she confronted him. That is an example of sacred words, right? She was not saying kind things to this man. She was not enabling him, telling him that what he did was right, or like she forgave him, anything like that. That wasn't what this time was about. It was about confronting this person, telling them what she truly honestly felt, speaking from the heart, and releasing this old pain now that she had the opportunity to talk to him about it. That is what I mean when I say they are just the truth recharging the spirit. They are sometimes, they can be harsh, strict, pointed, sometimes you do need to use that tone. That is the tone that you would use to rectify wrongs, to confront abuse. Sacred words aren't always what others want to hear. When we say use sacred words, it's not just, oh, well, I hurt their feelings, I should have never said that. Sometimes you do have to hurt people's feelings. Sometimes people did not want to hear the honest, healthy truth. It's something you'll start to learn. Even when it's, you feel like you're helping that other person out. I've definitely scared away people just by, thinking that, oh, they asked me for help, so like let me just say like all the, I know all of it, I'm reading this, I know what you want, but it wasn't what they wanted to hear. And so sacred words, though, if I was more tactful, I would have recognized that from their language, from what they were saying, was that this wasn't actually the time to go all the way out. It was a time to, you know, help them feel more comfortable in the situation, maybe be a better listener and not speak. You know, I've had a friend who, like, this was years ago, I was like 19 maybe, she's asking me, she's telling me all this trauma that's occurring in her life, this abuse, it's all womb related. And so me at the time, I'm kind of going through this stuff for like the first time. I'm like, you should just get a yoga gig, you should do this, you should do that, you should, you know, pray and build an ancestor altar, all this stuff. And you know, that wasn't what needed to be said. That was not a good example of sacred words, because sacred words in that situation would have been that the words that she needed to hear to help her keep talking her way through that situation. So it is something that, you know, we do have to learn, and it does come, those falls, those are part of the learning process. There's how you get better at reading the situation, at knowing what to say and when to say it. Practice when you're trying to, you know, that's why elders give those awesome prayers straight from the heart, no hesitation, all this stuff with power, conviction, all of that is because they've practiced. They've stood up and said a prayer out loud before. It just those practicing that, being able to speak. When you see in battle rap, you see the people freestyling. That's not something that you just wake up one morning able to do. I mean, some people are more talented than others, but in reality, that's a way of learning how to speak, of knowing the words that you know intimately, and being able to apply them. So let's see, we have our talk fast, page 150. I think she talks about this. Okay, sacred silence, the talk fast experience. I'm going to post up some herbs and tonics for us to drink for our, they're quiet tonics. She has one in here, quiet herb tonic with chamomile, dried hops, and a couple drops of valerian extract. So I doubt you have a couple of drops of valerian extract, but if you do, I'm going to be putting this little thing up there. But if not, I'm going to put a couple up that are things that you can just make at home, probably with what you already have, or it would be cheap and simple, you know right where to go to get that. So, and I'll also put up a specific journal, some specific journal entries for sacred words. So sacred silence, page 150. Sometimes we as women talk too much. Let us be mindful of our words. Some talk uplifts and encourages. Other talk can destroy one's spirit and bring harm to one's soul. Nevertheless, healing talk coming from healthy, whole beings can take you on high and heal your world and everyone in it. There will come a time in your sacred development when you will have purified your soul so much that you will become quiet and still. You will rest from talking. You will have purified your heart, your feelings of jealousy, judgment, anger, rage, guilt, bitterness, wickedness, and other negativity that has been separating you from the Creator and keeping you agitated and in a state of toxic talking. With time and healing, all this will wash away in a bath of silence. There is a cosmic conversation going on within you, but you have to be quiet to hear the sweet language of the unspoken. In the stillness of your inner silence, your purity will allow you to hear the language of the trees, the grass, the wind, and the healing rays of the sun. Spirit and nature speak the same language, the language of the Creator. As your sacredness fills you more and more, you will step into a world of peacefulness, a place where the life energy is just waiting to answer your questions and help you attain your full magnificence. Enough talking. Do a talk fast. Go within, pray, meditate. In this way, you will ignite your spiritual powers, and they will quietly impart answers you may be seeking. When you find yourself quiet in a world of so much activity, the world may see you as detached or aloof. But in reality, you're within the sweet, quiet state that comes from inner listening and deep purification. Through silence, you will discover that when you do need to speak, your words will carry more weight and be more profound because you've gathered energy from your power source, that silent place of inner peace. As your quiet sacredness unfolds, you will come to know and understand the blessings of detachment. Through detachment comes purity. When you experience a loving state of detachment, it is to your advantage and to the advantage of others, for then you have the capacity to love unconditionally, the ability to allow love to flow into you and through you uninterrupted. That is freedom. The freedom to love no matter what. When you're in a loving, detached, quiet state, know that the magical peace that you are experiencing is undisturbed by conditions, circumstances, people's utterances, or mood swings. There are many blessings that being in your quiet state of detachment can bring. When people are in your life actively and you are interacting in a good way, you feel blessed. And when it's time for them to move on, you feel equally blessed. You're able to release them to go and grow. The gift of peace is that nothing disturbs your inner stillness. If someone says, I love you, it's good. And if they say the opposite, it's still good because you trust in the Most High living within you. And you know that all that happens to and through you is good. You have faith that things are working out in your behalf, and this makes you stronger and wiser, gives you spiritual muscle. Use every experience to lift you up as you advance spiritually on the path of purification and sacredness. Keep peace in the center of your life as the quiet state of loving detachment flowers from your talk fast. A talk fast experience. So here she talks about going into nature and spending 1 to 4 hours at a time, every week or every other week, to really practice that silence, to connect with that sacred inner stillness. And when you're connected with that sacred inner stillness, you're able to access it better. You're able to remain in that state longer and longer each time. It takes more and more to be able to take you from your center. That's a tool that you should definitely use, and we'll talk more about just doing a brief talk fast of 1 to 4 hours in a day next week. This week, however, is going to be a lifestyle, a week long of inward looking, of inner understanding, of respecting our thoughts and really building on them, releasing what doesn't serve us, considering carefully the words we want to say. And this can also include, what you want to see. Maybe you'll spend this week going through, your Instagram and your Facebook and cleaning out your friends list and your follower, or who you're following, and be like, is this something I want to see? Is this person's feed generally something that I think will help me on this journey of inner stillness, of inner peace? Is there anywhere you can go to, really see the spiritual stuff that you want to be seeing? Are you filling your mind with what you want to be thinking, with the words and the visuals that you want to see and rely on? Let's see, I believe we're wrapping it up today. All right, I do have some meditations and affirmations I'm going to be making for our group, but other than that, we're going to wrap this up with the poem on page 151. It's called Journal Entry for Sacred Words by Ra Goddess from the Netaru cipher. Sacred words manifest in the silence. Daughters of divinity, chant the libations of surrender as the Creator channels forth universal truth. Sacred words live in the spirit, the essence of self which journeys from land to land, gathering pearls of wisdom and healing along the way. Sacred words dance in the temple of the goddess, surrounding raw-filled auras with infinite blessings, guiding purposeful steps that build upon destiny's path. Sacred words bear the seeds of organic fruit, nourishing weary souls with the nectar of upliftment, filling empty vessels with love, abundance, and joy. Sacred words play upon the lips of sacred women and hold the potency of ancestral ways with enough mystical magic to heal the world. Sacred words unfold in courage, speaking in the unspeakable with clarity, vision, and purpose, sending messages of honor and protection. Sacred words rest in the heart and awaken to the joyful sounds of promise, radiating light channeled from above. All right. I hope you have a wonderful week working on the talk fast. If you're somebody who you think you may need a little help remembering to be fasting throughout the day, maybe get a ring or tie some yarn around, braid some yarn into a bracelet and tie it around your wrist. Use some henna on your hands so that you have a visual reminder of what you've promised yourself for this week, to speak less, listen more, talk less, and focus on what is already within. A lot of things are already there that you could be listening to. So let's take this journey together. Thank you so much for coming to the Sacred Sisters Circle. I am Sacred Woman Practitioner Tatami, and I am so glad to have shared this Sunday with you.